and welcome back to the show. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight I'm really thrilled because we have another contemporary artist special with 6 outstanding artists in this Chelmsford, Lowell area, and they're all fantastic. Where do you see their work? With me tonight, we have Janis Sanders. How are you, Janis?
Excellent, Tom. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for being here, Janis. I wanted you on the show for quite a while, ever since I met you at Western Avenue.
Yes.
About 8 months ago or something. You have a studio at Western Avenue in Lowell.
That's correct, yep.
In fact, 4 of the artists tonight have studios there, which we'll talk about. So you have a studio there on the 2nd floor, and how long have you been painting, Janis?
I've been painting this spring, actually, May, right now. I finished up Mass College of Art 15 years ago.
Did you
So,
really?
Yeah.
15 years ago,
Yeah,
you
15 years
graduated?
ago. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So you've liked art your entire life, though?
I have. Yeah. I already, when I was a kid, somewhere along the way, my parents gave me an 8mm camera. And I did all these little sort of stick figures and automobiles in slow motion, with sometimes alone, sometimes with a friend of mine, and just one thing led to another. I've always been involved in photography and in some level of art. I've done musical theater. I was painting and drawing and sketching before I had the mechanics, and I was very frustrated. So that's what ended. How I ended up at Mass College of Art. I thought I just need the toolbox to actually do what I'm feeling inside.
And how did that work at the Mass College of Art? Did you feel you learned a lot?
Oh, big time.
Really?
Yeah. I took night courses there, and I thought the school was fantastic.
Where is it? Boston?
Boston, yeah. Great. Yeah, and everybody there was a hands-on artist of some sort. Yeah. Some people were active artists showing all over this area, some in New York City. One guy, actually, David Tandy, would come up just to teach the course. He was a curator in New York City and then take the red eye and go back.
Really?
So everybody was very committed, everybody was full of ideas and engaged and involved, and I thought it was a terrific experience.
Could I ask how long that program was, Janis?
Well, I went 2.5 years.
2.5 years,
yeah,
nice.
Yep. Yeah.
Fantastic. And now, you're doing very well now, right? At
Yes.
Western. We'll talk. Yeah. We'll show your art later and
Okay.
everything along with everybody else. But first, I'll quickly introduce everyone. Thanks
course.
again, Janis.
Thank you so much. It's a
Because you
pleasure
don't
to be
live
here.
in Chelmsford. In fact, you live quite a ways away, don't you?
Right.
In Peabody or something?
All the way in Peabody.
Peabody. Oh, I remember that. My God. Yeah, it's a little distance. 120. Yeah, I don't know if you came that way, but it could be pretty difficult
It
heading
can
down
be.
there.
Yeah. I set the record last week at an hour and 10 for 21 miles.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah. Depending on.
Well,
the
thank
day.
you so much for coming all the way
Thank
from
you.
Peabody, though,
Thank
and
you.
make it for the show. The show does get onto YouTube, so you could send it to your friends and family throughout the world, Janis.
It's awesome.
And when all of you continue to get fame and fortune as artists, this is going to, be used, I think, on PBS and all kinds of to document your life as an
awesome.
artist. I think,
Yeah. It's cool.
So, that's what I'm thinking anyway.
And why not?
So hopefully, I can. Maybe they'll use it on me too. Who knows? when I get around to sketching something or other.
Yeah. Wait a minute. That's PBS. It's Tom.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Janis. And we have, speaking of Tom, we have my good friend Tom Gill with us tonight. How are you, Tom?
Good. Thanks for inviting me, Tom.
Oh, my pleasure, Tom. You know, I've known Tom for over 30 years when I joined the Chelmsford Art Society. And Tom has been a long-time artist and a member of the Chelmsford Art Society.
Yep, that's where I got my start, from the Chelmsford Art Society.
Wow. And you grew up in Chelmsford, right?
I did. I went to the school here.
The school at Berger Middle School,
Yeah, it brings back flashbacks.
Wow.
when I got lost trying to find the studio here.
And you went to an art school too, didn't you?
I went to the Art Institute of Boston.
Art Institute of
back
Boston.
I got out in 75.
75.
Yeah, and then I went into a brief music career.
I was going to mention that.
And I worked at the VA hospital. And then when the band split up in '82, I got my start at the Brush with History Art Studios and Gallery back in '82. That's when I really started my professional career.
About 82, so it's been about 32 years now.
Yeah, what a time flies
Yeah.
when you're having fun.
Yeah, and Tom is very well-known artist in this area, and I don't know, throughout the world now maybe. Have you been selling your work throughout the world, Tom?
Well, I've got paintings in England and other places, but mostly I'm known around the Merrimack Valley area from all my work that I did for the Enterprise Bank. Because they got 20 Enterprise banks, and I painted paintings for all those. I did over 30 paintings for their banks.
Did you really? Oh my God.
That's my claim to fame.
That's fantastic, Tom. So
I'm lucky,
you're
I'm
doing
fortunate.
great, right?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
I was at Western Avenue one time about a year ago that somebody was just walking out with a painting of yours that they just bought for over $2,000. Do you
Well,
remember? Well, you probably
do
do
you
that
remember?
a lot.
I want their number. No, I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember?
No,
Yeah,
but I believe you.
yeah, but people were talking about, saying, oh, Tom Gill just sold
Yeah.
a $2,500 painting. It was amazing.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
wonderful.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, it does,
Not too
which is
frequently,
fantastic.
but it happens, yeah.
So, yeah, and we took a lot of trips with the Chelmsford Art Society to
Yeah.
see the Norman Rockwell Museum.
Yeah, I love
I think
that.
we took a trip to Portland. Was it Maine, I think,
Yeah.
with the Art Society?
Yeah.
I remember I took some photographs of you. We were a lot
Oh,
younger
yeah,
then.
yeah, you
we
did.
both had a lot more hair.
You took some great pictures of me. Yeah, I wish I had my hair, yeah. That was.
I wish I had my hair back
Yeah.
then, too. And I had a beard and everything. Yeah, but we had a lot of good times.
We had a lot of fun. The Chelmsford Art Society is a great group, and you know, it was a good place for me to start my career and show my work. And they have a lot of good things happening
They do.
with them.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Chelmsford Art Society tonight, we have one of the presidents with us tonight, Denise Rain is.
Oh, good.
How are you, Denise?
I'm great, and it's great to be here. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks so much for coming, Denise. And Denise is the former principal of this school, right?
Parkwood Middle School, dear to my heart. It's a great building, great place, great place to be a teacher, to be a principal, to be a kid, most
Oh,
importantly.
it's wonderful. And you retired from the principalship about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago?
I had been teaching. I had been in education for 34 years. Very lucky. Loved every job I had. Was in Bedford for a long time, then came to Chelmsford, and now I'm doing things that have a little bit less stress.
And beautiful work, Denise,
Thank
because you have a studio also at Western
Yeah,
Avenue.
I'm fourth floor, 404 on Western Ave.
404 is the room number?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and you've been producing so prolifically. It's amazing how hard you work. No wonder you became principal, because I think you work a lot harder than I like to work.
Well, it's,
But,
you do what you love to, if you're lucky, you do
Yeah,
what you
you
really
do
like
what
to
you love
do,
to
and
do,
things
yeah.
work out for you.
and things are working out, right, Denise? I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing great. You're selling your work. You're producing in all kinds of media, too. I mean, not only do you paint on canvas, but you paint on rocks. You paint all kinds of media, like oils, pastel, watercolors,
Yeah, I
everything.
started about 10 years ago, and I had never painted before. And I always consider myself creative, and I always tried to put that into my teaching and my lesson planning. But one of our children was taking pastel classes, and the parents would come to pick them up, and I thought, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate in the woman who offered an adult class, and I kind of got going with that. And then once I left the classroom and became an administrator, there was really no time to paint. So I painted for a few years and then didn't do much. And then and just the last couple of years, I've just thrown myself into it. I had never painted oil before, and I'm doing watercolor and ink and a little acrylic. So.
And beautiful work,
Thank
too.
you.
It's
Thank you.
fantastic. And
Thank you.
And thank you also for driving in from Dunstable, right? I think you
Oh,
have-
so far.
Yeah.
I think it was
Well,
like
thank
10 minutes,
Yeah.
because there was traffic.
Oh, I see, yeah. Well, it's a
hour.
nice place, too, though, but that's nice. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
here,
you.
Denise.
Great to be here.
And we have my friend Priti Lathia with us tonight. How are you, Priti?
Good, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, Priti. And Priti does some amazing work. I love you do acrylics and watercolors and pastels sometimes, oils, everything.
Yeah. I teach every
And
medium, so I work in every medium.
Do you teach those classes where they have the wine class too and that? Do you do one
I've
of those?
started those
Those, yeah?
recently.
Okay, I
and
thought I saw something like
Yes, and I've put it on Facebook, and there's one session coming up in June, beginning of June. I'm planning another one that's going to be Van Gogh inspired the end of June.
Nice.
So
Wonderful.
be
Well,
interesting. Yeah.
Van Gogh's one of my favorite artists. Did you post that on Facebook yet? that
Not
piece?
yet, not
Oh,
yet.
good.
I'm working on the painting, because it doesn't have to look exactly like Van Gogh, but it has to be in his style.
Oh, yes, yeah. And Priti is also a member of the Chelmsford Art Society, right?
That's
and
right.
Priti
That's
lives in
right.
Westford, I believe.
Yeah.
And she attends a lot of our meetings and does a lot on Facebook. And in fact, you were the Chelmsford Arts Facebook group, Artist of the Month, as
Yeah.
Denise was in the past, Bethany,
That's
Donna.
right.
I got to get you guys on Facebook, or you would be
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But what I had Priti was the Artist of the Month. She has a beautiful painting of the Chelmsford Center for the Arts in watercolor,
That's right.
which is just amazing.
Which you
the way
helped me sell.
Yeah, well, and you made some
wonderful
prints,
buyer.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, my neighbor has it. Yes, my
Yes.
neighbor bought the original, and she showed it to me just recently.
Yeah.
The husband and wife, and it's a beautiful hanging up in their bedroom. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, so you do great work, Priti. I'm looking forward to talking more about your art.
Definitely. I'd
Thanks for
love
being
to.
here, Priti.
Thank you.
And we have my good friend Bethany Peck Kalabokis. How are you,
I'm
Bethany?
very good. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thanks for being here, Bethany. And Bethany also has a studio at Western Avenue on 4th floor.
Correct.
What's the room number, Bethany?
A417.
417. And you share it with your husband,
Yeah,
right?
my husband, Peter
Peter-
Kalabokis. He's an
Peter
illustrator.
Kalabokis.
Yeah.
He's an illustrator. So you both, did you meet at art school,
We
by the way?
met, yeah, we met in art school. He was my college sweetheart.
Really? Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
So you've been married a
Oh,
while
yeah.
now?
We've been married a long time. I met him when I was 17. So
17? That's amazing.
yes, so he's my best friend.
That's
So,
and
yeah.
it's great that you both have a love of art. And,
Yes, we both love art, and you know, we've always been creative, and and I love painting, and to be with my creative partner all the time, it's just a great thing.
That's fantastic. And you're doing well in your studio
I've been,
too, I think?
I've been very lucky. I've just recently been working on a 10 painting commission
Yes,
that,
which is
of
good.
paintings that are going to be shipped out to LA, so I'm really excited about that.
And Bethany, we have a little joke because a lot of times when I visit on the first Saturday of the month,
Yes.
like one time I was there and while I was there, the person bought like 4 or 5 of your paintings, right? Not huge ones, but good sized paintings and everything.
yeah.
And then another time, I think somebody bought some paintings while I was
You
there.
know, Tom's like a good
So I
luck
bring
charm.
her good luck, yeah. I know. I
I
just
love it when Tom comes to visit me.
I know. I got to visit every day. And Bethany, your work is fantastic.
Thank
and
you.
painting primarily in oil, I would
Primarily
say.
in oils, though I
With,
do enjoy acrylic and watercolor at times, but yeah, oil with a nice shiny finish is my thing.
Yeah, which is your secret.
Yeah, yeah, my secret
which
sauce.
nice. In fact, you gave me an idea to make some of my acrylic shiny, so I went with the acrylic gloss medium and put it over one of my paintings recently,
Oh,
and it did
nice.
bring it out a lot.
Yeah.
It was like a sun with a bird in the middle of the sun, and then the swirling clouds around it, swirling. And that's something I like to do once in a while, just these emotions. So
Yeah.
that the shininess helped a lot, so thank you
Yeah.
for that. And,
Oh, you're
and
welcome.
your work is doing fantastic. And wait till we see all this work that they'll be showing you tonight that they brought in. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
And so thanks for being here, Bethany.
thank you for having me.
You came from Chelmsford, though, right?
Yes,
so
yeah, I'm just down the
all way
street.
down the street. Nice, nice. With your husband and 2 children, is it? 2
Yes,
children?
yep, my husband Peter, and I have a son and a daughter,
What
a
are their
15-year-old, and George and Jacina.
George and Justine. In fact, I see them there at your studio a lot.
Yes,
and
oh yeah, they're my
It's
little
like a family day over there
Oh,
with
it's
you.
such a great atmosphere. There's kids running around the building, and just it's just a great place to bring up children.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you got the studio. In fact, this is your 2nd or 3rd location there at Western? or-
Yeah, it's my 3rd spot. I started
Third
off on the
spot, wow.
5th floor, and then I moved to another spot on the 4th floor, and now I'm in just the right spot. It was kind of like the
great.
3 bears. One was too
Yeah.
big, one was too small. This
Yeah.
one's just
So I'll call it the 3 Bear Studio.
Yeah,
the,
there you go.
Well, thanks, Bethany.
Thank you.
And we also have my good friend Donna Berger with us tonight. How are you, Donna?
I'm great. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. The last time you were going to be on the show, but you had a trip to Denmark, right?
Denmark,
you do
yes.
artwork for some company.
Yeah, I'm a graphic designer.
Graphic designer, yeah. And you had a nice trip to Denmark, right, for about a week or something?
Yes, I was there for a week. It was an awesome opportunity, and I actually got to go to one of the art museums for a day, you know, and it was
Wow.
work, paid for work, so it was wonderful.
What museum was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember the name,
but
but
I
the
mean, who-
Queen and her husband had an art show going there.
Nice. So Donna has a studio right at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, right? Which are beautiful. You've been there since the beginning, right, Donna?
I was one of
Pretty
the
much?
first artists, and then when they were doing the renovation, I had to move out for a while, and then I came back. And I love it there. Now it's very nice. And it's a small group of us there, but we have people coming through all the time, so
Nice.
it's just really nice.
Do you sell your work there much? at
I
all,
haven't
or-
really sold a lot of work there, but a lot of people come in and look at it. and-
Nice. And you do illustration work. You've done a number of books, right?
Right, I've been a children's book illustrator as
Yeah.
well as a painter,
Yeah.
and I like having the balance of doing both types of work, but my favorite is painting.
And paint. Yes, you had a big exhibit at the Paris Center for the Arts a while ago, right?
I did, actually. It
went
was
to
my
the-
hummingbirds.
The Hummingbird, which we'll show later.
Yep. And I've been in a lot of the local galleries, you know, showing my work for the Brush Gallery and some of those. And a long time, quite a while ago, I did have a studio at Western Avenue.
That's right, too. Yeah, and then, but you decided to go right here to Chelmsford, which is
Yes.
where you live, right?
Yes,
So
it's
you had a
convenient.
short commute as well today?
Well, actually, I work in Andover, so I had a little. I allowed a little more
you had to
time.
come from work, I see.
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you could be here. You went to what art school did you go to?
Well, I actually went to a couple schools. I went to Bowling Green State University, and I also went to Cameron University, which is in Oklahoma. And I ended up getting
Oklahoma.
art scholarships when I was there, and it was wonderful to have gotten a different environment, you know.
And where did you study art? Was it in Oklahoma? Or
Both
Oh, I see.
in Ohio at Bowling Green
Wow.
and you know, in Oklahoma as well, Cameron University.
And you do great work too, Don. I'd love to be able to paint like all of you guys. It's amazing. Wait till you see all the work, which we'll start showing now. Thank you, Donna, for being here. And Janis, I wonder if you could hold up your painting a little
Sure,
bit.
toward you, or?
Maybe towards the camera
Okay.
there a little bit. Let's
Is
see.
this good?
We could look at the monitor. We could see once it comes on. We'll see
Okay.
what kind of shot they could get. And they're getting close up of your painting. So Janis, could you talk a little bit about this painting? What medium, etc. What?
Okay,
You
sure.
hold it?
Yeah, I paint in oil, and I paint with a palette knife.
Yeah.
And that's the straightforward part of it. This particular scene, well, it's kind of interesting. Every scene that I paint is, obviously there's an element of imagination, but it's a real place somewhere. And this place happens to be up on Bailey Island in Maine.
Oh.
And I paint largely coastal scenes, a lot with buildings and a lot without buildings. And a lot of the work that's on a smaller scale, this would be about the range of the largest that I'd paint outdoors.
Outdoors.
yeah,
Because you'd go out. In fact, you have videos on YouTube, right?
That's
If
correct.
anybody wants to see Janis painting
Yep.
and learn how he does, paints with a palette, if you can go to YouTube under Janis, Janis.
That's correct.
Sanders, Sanders.
Yep.
And you could check out a video. I checked it out once. It was nice.
Yeah.
I was amazed how fast you did it. Was that speeded up at all? or
Not
did
at
you-
all.
Oh,
Yeah,
he gets a palette knife and
like the
zips it.
Keystone Cops.
That was amazing. And
That was
you
actually a
used-
4-day painting.
Yeah, that you speed it up, right? And so you use a palette knife almost exclusively,
I do
right?
completely exclusively.
Which is amazing, with
Yeah.
oils.
That's correct.
And you're painting fairly large canvases, right? Some
Yes.
are even much bigger than this, right? You have one
Yes.
at the Western Avenue that was huge.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
like
that-
4 feet by 5 or whatever.
Yeah, even bigger.
Bigger,
I have a
jeez.
commission right now that's pending.
Oh.
It's out for approval. It's 70 inches high and 52 inches
Wow.
wide. So,
Wow.
and that's all done also with a palette knife.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and
And the colors, you have a similar, you like to use a similar palette, right? With this blue that you use.
It's true.
What blue do you use? Oh,
Yeah.
I heard they actually make it for you.
It's
Make
a-
that blue for you.
that's right.
or
It's
something.
a French ultramarine.
French ultramarine, yeah?
That's cut with white.
Cut with white,
Yep,
nice.
Yeah. So I mean, it's mixable, but every manufacturer, of course, has their own pigmentation in any
Oh,
pigment.
yes.
So you can go and get a Winsor Newton, for instance, and it will have a little bit of a different look than this, because even though it's French ultramarine.
And what,
and
what
it-
yellow do you are
Yeah.
you using there?
This yellow is probably a zinc yellow. I think there's a lot of zinc
zinc
yellow
yellow?
here. There might be some Naples yellow in here.
Naples, I see mix. Yeah, it
Yep.
looks like a few different yellows there,
Yeah.
and a little bit of orange by the chimney there.
There is, and I couldn't tell you which orange it is. It's a very
Yeah,
bright
nice.
orange.
Nice.
It might be
But you
cadmium
toned
orange.
it down nicely. So, but your work reminds me of Edward Hopper. I told you that many times,
That's right. That's true. Yeah.
And also Paul Padula, who's a Chelmsford former resident,
Yep.
who paints kind of stark houses with a stark sky.
Yes.
Very often.
Yep,
Now yours
exactly.
isn't identical by any means,
Right.
but it reminds me of that because you have very expansive sky.
Yep.
With a lot of starkness, but you've been adding clouds lately, I've noticed.
Now and then.
At Western.
That's
They
right.
told me that. I was talking to Peck, Virginia Peck, about your work recently.
Yes.
You weren't there, but you had some outside.
Oh, right, right.
But we were looking at one with your clouds and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's amazing work. So, and you've been fairly successful
Yes.
lately, right?
Yeah,
Janis?
yeah.
Selling, getting commission, selling, and all that.
Exactly. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I show in galleries all around New England. I show in a couple of places up in Maine Art, also Camden Falls Gallery.
Oh, that's where I went to. Yeah.
Yeah, I show in Boston actually at J. Todd and Wellesley, and they just opened the second location in Chatham. So
Really?
I'm busy with them, and various things. A couple places up in Vermont also. It's all on my
Oh my God.
website.
Oh, when your website, what's the name of it?
Right, JanisSanders.com.
JanisSanders.com.
Yep.
Yeah, I would recommend anybody who likes art to check out his and everybody's websites and check out their work, and it's amazing. I have a lot of it that I've saved, your work on my computer. I love looking at everybody's artwork.
Yeah.
I've saved all of these artists.
That's awesome.
Except I couldn't find much of Tom Gill because he's not on,
He's
I don't think he has
reclusive.
a website. Yeah, he's more elusive, but I do have one of Tom's paintings in my home hanging up. It's been hanging up for like 25, 30 years now, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's of a beautiful treehouse he did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I do see Tom's work as well. So thank you so much. Well, we'll talk more about your
Sure.
work and everything later.
Of course.
Tom,
Thank
maybe
you.
could you hold up your piece and tell us a little about it, Tom, and what medium you used? And
What do you want me to put?
oh, you could put it there for now, and maybe they'll get a close up of it or something. But you could start talking about it now. Okay.
All right, I paint with acrylics, exclusively acrylics, and
Exclusively acrylics.
I like to paint. This is a painting of my kids, my daughter and my 2 grandkids. And
2 grandchildren.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't look that
uh,
senior to have grandchildren.
well, I do. Yeah.
Wow, that's
now Julia,
fantastic.
she's 12 now, and Dominic's now 15. So this painting's a little bit older, and I love painting pictures of them. I do
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
can see-
I do a lot of paintings of them in my studio. I have
Tom,
some.
you
Yeah.
can see why everybody loves your work, Tom. It's amazing.
Thanks.
I mean, it's all amazing. But the
Well-
way you could paint figures, which is very difficult, and
Yeah.
to get those flesh tones.
I like
and
to paint pictures of people.
people,
That's what I
yes.
like.
And even when you have a landscape like the 4th of July, you'll have a
Yeah.
whole bunch of people
I like
in there.
groups of figures to paint, groups of figures.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
doing landscapes too. I don't do any still lifes,
Yeah,
but I have done some. But you know, I've probably told you that I'm into this new thing, which is cutting edge new technology. Which
yeah.
the Liquitex company now, years ago I used to paint with ink markers. I mean, not paintings. These were like drawing renderings, ink markers like magic markers. And I did all these beautiful renderings. Everybody loved them. And I tried copying these renderings with my acrylics and do paintings using the ink markers as study.
Yeah.
So then, you know, to make a long story short, so I actually made my own paint markers out of glue sticks, and they kind of wore out and they didn't work so good. But so now, 20 years later, the Liquitex acrylics, now someone told me they make paint markers.
Yep.
Like paint markers, and so they have, you know, the nib, and so I, without even trying them or seeing them, I ordered all 50 of those paint markers, and I started doing the most beautiful paintings that I've ever done because of the strokes, the color, the freshness. So instead of using a limited palette, now I'm using instead of a few reds, I'm using all the reds, all the blues. I got all these colors. It's so much fun, and it's easier, and it's they're only new, and I think eventually a lot of people are going to catch on to it, and it's going to be something new. And see, years ago when Vermeer and Rembrandt years ago they had to mix their own colors. Then they came out with the paint tube, which was an invention, and so artists like Picasso and these guys, the Impressionists, they could just squeeze the paint out. So now here it is. Today they come out with paint markers, and so instead of using brushes, I'm using these paint markers, and people like Francesca Anderson gallery, I showed them to her. She said, "Send me some photos. I want to see what they look like." So I brought some in I said, "I have some in the car. I have some paintings." So she looked at it and she said, "Wow, that's cool." She says, "I've never seen anything like that." Wow. And I didn't have any finished ones to bring today. Now that I'm talking about it so much, I wish I have 2 out in the shows, and then I have some at home I should have brought them. But anyway, this is
it's
my old
fantastic.
style.
The flesh tones, the way the composition, I mean, the way you painted it itself.
Thanks.
And I guess I would call your style impressionistic.
Yes, it
I
is.
don't know. A lot of people,
it is impressionistic. But
especially
I'm kind of going more towards, with the markers, I'm going towards expressionistic, because I got all these wild strokes and lines. It's very different.
Yeah.
So I should have brought those.
Yeah. Well, if people want to see your work, they could go to the 5th floor at Western Avenue
Yes.
Studios, right? What number, Tom?
531.
And usually the first Saturday of the month during the
Yeah.
open houses, are you usually there at some
Yeah,
time?
doing the open studios.
Open
I always
studios?
come in late,
Great.
and I leave late.
Great.
I'm not usually there other than that.
Good,
It seems like.
I
I
remember
like to
you
paint.
I just
I like to
visited
paint
you
at home. Yeah.
last month. fact, I did a marker painting with you. You were giving everybody little pieces of paper.
Yeah,
So I
everybody was
created a
doing 'em.
masterpiece.
Yeah.
And then Georgia Spanos comes in, she paints over it.
I had
No,
those,
which-
yeah.
that shows you how much you thought of my painting, but no, it was just a quick
I
sketch.
had these markers spread. I had these markers spread all over my table, and I was going over these paintings with these marker things, and everybody coming in saying, "What are you doing? And what's that? And can I try it?" And they all started doing little doodles and things, and everybody was getting into it.
Yeah, yeah. And do
So-
you have your paintings exhibited elsewhere, Tom? Or
Well, I show at the North Shore Art Association in
North Sh-
Gloucester and the
Gloucester?
Rockport Art Association. I try to make
Wonderful.
every show. So I that's where I'm. You know, you asked before where I was getting known. I'm getting known down at the North Shore area.
Wonderful.
And Francesca Anderson, she shows my work, and that's pretty much
Does
it.
she still have a studio in Lexington?
She does Lexington.
You know, she gave a talk to the Chelmsford Art Society about
Yeah.
20, 25 years ago. I still remember it.
She's been in the
Beca-
business a long
yeah,
time.
because
Yeah,
it was like Francesca Anderson's here, you know, and she's going to give a talk. So
Yeah.
it was a good attendance and
Yeah.
everything.
So,
So things are going well, Tom?
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
been
you've
doing
been
a
a
lot of
professional
commissions.
artist.
People have been
Lot of
calling me to do
commissions,
painting jobs. I do portraits, and I do, you know, a lot of stuff for corporate places like the
Wonderful.
bank and stuff like that.
Well, how could people contact you, Tom? Do you have? You don't have a website, do you?
They could use the old-fashioned way, use a phone book.
Do you want to
Call
give you
Tom Gill, Tom Gill, Lowell, Mass.
Tom Gill in Lowell, Mass? You're
Call
in the phone
information.
book, right?
I'm in the phone. Yeah, just call me up on the phone.
Yeah, that's how I reach you. Oh, but don't call Tom at 9 in the morning, though.
No,
I
no.
call Tom to talk about the show, right, at 9 in the morning, and I
say-
get up at like 5:30, so I
I
think,
get up
well,
at
he's up by
1.
9.
No, he's up by
Well, I
1.
learned
I'm a
that.
night owl.
Don't call early, don't call in the morning at all. Wait till the afternoon, right,
Yeah,
Tom?
that's right.
And this time I called you after 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah,
So-
and I was just getting up.
Yeah, but I
I'm
felt
a
so
night
bad,
person.
I
That's
woke
all right.
Tom up at 9 in the morning.
That's all right. A lot of
But that
people
was
do.
typical artist kind of thing, you know? You have,
Well, it varies. Sometimes I'm up early, but yeah, it changes.
yeah, nice.
So anyway,
Well, thanks, Tom. So we'll talk more about your
Okay,
work in a
thank you,
minute.
Tom.
Maybe, Denise, could you possibly, I know we brought a couple of works, maybe you could hold up one first? Oh, your
nice.
beautiful cat, what, is this your cat?
This is my cat. This is,
Beautiful piece, Denise.
She's actually a Sphinx cat.
A
and
Sphinx.
we got a discount on her because she has some fur. She's not supposed to have any fur.
That's what I was thinking. They're generally the
Yeah, and
furthest
people
here.
think they're so hideous and ugly and terrible. And maybe it's that I'm so used to looking at her that I find her endearing.
Nice, yeah.
But I took this photograph of her, obviously sitting at the sink, and there were a jar of Clausen pickles in the sink, and I knew that I had to paint it because I had the title first, which was Kitty Contemplating Clausens. And I thought, with a title that good, certainly there should be a painting.
Yes.
So this is a stretch for me. I tend to paint in a much more painterly way, much more impressionistic. My main, sort of my go-to art is, for the most part, pastels, which I've been most successful with. But I'm learning oils and enjoying. I love to work
I
in
think
oils.
you did a fantastic
Thank you.
job. Given you don't use it much, it's amazing. And the sense of light that you have there, it's like backlit with the light coming in on the sides of the cat, like a backlit painting. Beautiful lighting and the blending, it's fantastic,
Thanks,
Denise.
thanks. Yeah, it was a fun
Don't you
challenge. I'm
think?
trying
Yeah,
to
it's
challenge myself with
wonderful.
oils to
Yeah,
do, to
wonderful.
get sort of outside of my zone.
And you paint with a brush usually, right?
Yes.
With the acrylic
Yep.
or oils.
Yeah, I do much more, well, I do acrylic on I love to do little acrylics with pen and ink on them. And I love to paint on rocks, and somebody told me somebody told a friend of mine, don't stand there, she'll paint on you. But I would not do that unless I were asked.
And you have your studio at Western
Yep.
Avenues where people could see more of your work
Yep.
on the first Saturdays of the month.
First Saturday of the
The room number
It's
is
404. I also have
404.
my website is deniserainis.com.
Great. And do you want to show your other piece
Sure.
too, Denise, there? Denise brought in a couple of pieces today.
Getting
and,
towards Janis colors.
Yeah.
oh, you looks like you used masonite, at least on this
Yeah,
one.
actually, I tend to paint on gesso board,
Gesso
ampersand
board,
gesso
yeah.
board, so it's panel rather
Panel,
than
yeah.
canvas.
Nice. I like panels too.
Yeah, I
Very
do too. It's a lot
nice.
of people find it really slippery and hard to work with. I happen to like it.
Yeah.
And this is a place in Maine.
yeah.
I have the good fortune to spend 2 weeks in the summer with 7 other artists in a farmhouse, and we all paint during the day and
Wow.
fix dinner and have fun at night.
How
So,
long was that? Oh,
it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And it's in Lubec, which is 7.5 hours from Lowell. So it's all the way up the
Wow, oh
coast,
my God.
just south of.
You're going to go
Capital.
this summer
Yeah,
as well?
I'll be gone for 2
What-
weeks. And
who's the instructor in that?
there's no instructor. It's
Oh.
basically it's like a little. Just hanging out and painting and doing your own thing, and if you've not been there, it's just. I thought, why would we go this far to paint?
Yeah.
But it's magic. It's
Oh,
beautiful
wow.
and it's quiet and it's lovely.
It
so,
must have been
So
wonderful.
and I will
Geez.
do a lot of. I did a bunch of plein air pastels last summer, some of which have sold. Actually, 2 sold at the Whistler House during their December.
That's fantastic.
I was happy about
Wow.
that, and so I will do that again this summer.
Wonderful. And this painting, what is it? Acrylic or
No, it's oil. It's
oils? And it's a little bit looser, like you were saying, right? A little
Yeah,
bit more impressionistic, which
right.
is nice.
Thank you.
A beautiful composition. I
And
think
this-
you're doing great work, Denise.
Thank
It's
you. And this is the
amazing.
view across from the farmhouse, so that we stay in. So it's not bad.
Wonderful. And do you show elsewhere? I know you go to shows like at Whistler periodically.
Yes, I have,
Do you have any? You should
yeah.
get some gallery
I
representation.
have I have work showing at the All Gallery. I have work at the Zeitgeist Gallery.
Zeitgeist
And
in
I have
Lowell.
work. All these are all in Lowell, and the Loading Dock Gallery, which is part of Western Avenue Studios.
Wonderful.
And I'm in and out of shows at other places.
And how are things going in terms of sales? And
Well, I'm pretty much paying for my habit, as we like to say.
paying the rent over there and stuff,
Yeah,
right? Which
pretty
is
much.
That's what Bethany told me one time. Said you're successful if you could sell enough to pay for your rent at Western. You know,
Yeah,
that's
but
a
it's,
success,
I
really.
consider myself pretty new at this, and as long as I'm having fun and able to kind of make ends meet, I'm pretty happy.
And where did you study art, Denise?
With a few workshops here
Workshops,
and there,
yeah.
and I do work with Paula Mingalelli, who's been on the show,
Yeah.
Who's become a very
Oh,
good
yes.
friend. So
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I'm a
that's-
friend. And,
She's a great teacher, too.
She's
and
a
artist,
wonderful
yeah.
teacher, right?
Yeah.
And Steve Prebitt, who's up in
Oh, Steve, yeah.
Nashville, I've
Nashville,
done some
yeah.
work with him as well.
Yeah.
And I just try to put as many hours in as I can, and learn from the mistakes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here, Denise. And as I mentioned previously, if you didn't hear it, Denise is the co-president along with Judy here. right?
Actually, president now. Judy's our vice president now.
Oh,
so-
I'm sorry.
And
So-
just to plug Chelmsford Art Society some
Yeah.
more, if you're anywhere around, you don't have to be an artist.
Right.
You have to love creativity and creative things. We have about eight demos a year. We have the fabulous 4th of July art show coming up, the 46th annual 4th of July show coming up. So check us out online, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of great people to hang out with.
Yes. And do you have a website, Denise, for your art?
I do, DeniseRainis.com.
DeniseRainis.com. Good. The spelling is there right on the screen, which is
There
wonderful.
it is.
I mean, Denise Rainis, so just .com.
Right.
And you're also on Facebook, too, as most of you are on Facebook, and could check out your work there as well. Well, thank you so much,
you.
Denise. We'll talk more later, hopefully. Thanks. And we have Priti Lathia. Do you want to tell us about your work, Priti, that you brought with you today? A beautiful piece, beautiful. You do a lot of still lives, right? In addition to other things, but some still lives.
Still lives, landscapes, portraits.
Portraits?
Not too many portraits, but I have done a few.
Yeah, nice.
And
is this acrylic?
this
Priti?
is acrylic.
Yeah.
This painting is called From Georgia's Flower Shop.
Oh,
So this was a photo I took at Georgia's Floral Arts Gallery
yes.
and Flower Shop.
Yeah.
She invites me to paint there sometimes with her.
Nice. Wow.
And she has a wonderful art gallery upstairs.
Yes. Yeah.
And this, I always try to paint something in a modern way or a new way with different ideas, using colors and making them happy and vibrant.
Yeah, it's amazing,
paintings.
your sense of color and the vibrancy, you're right. Because I'm a little bit reluctant sometimes to use so many different colors because it's difficult, you know, but you have a tremendous control and sense of color.
So still life,
You know?
a vase with flowers is a very old subject.
Yeah.
A lot of artists paint that. But I was thinking of how to make it different, how to make it more modern. And in the art world, stamping is big. Not for painters, but those who do other kinds of art. They use stamps a lot.
Yeah.
And so I used some stamps in the background
And,
and
nice.
some brushwork and dripping and
beautiful,
splashing and having fun with the background before I even drew the vase in front. So that
Nice.
makes it a little bit
Yeah,
different.
I've never seen stamping done. That's something new. I like that. It's got a nice effect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so you usually paint with a brush too, right?
That's right.
And do you paint almost every day, Priti? Are you a professional artist?
Yeah, I'm a full-time teacher
Full-time teacher? Of
and
art or-
artist. Yeah, I teach art.
Where do you teach art?
I teach privately.
Oh, privately,
So I
nice.
teach every day.
That's fantastic,
Yeah.
wow. And you might get a gallery too, or a space in Weston
Yeah.
sometime,
And
maybe?
yes,
That would
I
be-
right
think
now
you
I
should, yeah, 'cause
paint from my home.
you
but
paint enough
Yeah.
and wonderfully to do that, I think,
Thank
you
you.
know? And so where else, do you have a website, first of all?
I have a website.
Priti
I have a
Lathia?
blog.
A blog, okay?
So it's Priti Fine Art. So Priti-Fine-Art
Okay,
.blogspot.com.
I see, yes.
So, but if you Google Priti Fine Art, you should be able to
Okay,
find
Pretty Fine Art, hopefully it'll
yeah,
come
the
up.
blog.
Because
Yeah.
that'll be a difficult one to remember. Your son does web design, doesn't he, or something?
Yes,
Maybe
he
you could get
does.
you just the prettylathia.com or something.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of make a little, but that's,
Yeah. I think
But
the computer takes up a lot of my time. I would like to spend more time painting.
yes.
And recently, my son taught me how to use Instagram and how to take a photo quickly and post it quickly. So
And that-
I'm learning that.
And that goes out to the Instagram community.
That's
so,
right.
right?
So
Yeah,
I'm on
nice,
Instagram
nice.
too.
And
now.
on Facebook,
And
you
on
have your own
Facebook.
page on Facebook, right? Pretty
Right.
Lathia.
And I'm on Fine Art America.
Fine Art America, wonderful. Do you have any other galleries or places that you show?
Yes,
Here-
I mostly have sold a lot of work from the All Gallery, which is the Arts League of Lowell.
Oh, yeah, with
Yeah.
Denise maybe?
Yeah,
The
So-
Arts League of Lowell, yes.
I've sold a lot of paintings there. I've sold
Nice.
some at the Brush. I have shown at the Whistler. I haven't sold any at the Whistler, but I've shown there.
That's fantastic, wow. Well, you're all wonderful artists, and your sense of color, and I see you have the complementary color. You see the yellow and the violet there?
Right.
And the yellow of that flower too.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how to hold
fantastic.
it, so it
Thank
doesn't.
you. Thank you so much for bringing it in, Priti.
Thank you.
Later, and we'll show you up. Did you bring another piece too?
No.
Okay, great. But I know you brought me a piece. Everybody, I'll show that maybe later if we have time. Priti
right.
brought me a little present piece,
Oh.
which was so nice of you,
Oh, that's
Priti.
Oh,
nice.
you're welcome.
Just the bag alone is a work of art, I think. See that?
You're welcome.
But maybe show that later if we have time. But we have so much to talk about with Bethany. Could you show your piece, please? And it's a beautiful. I would call it a landscape or seascape or cloudscape or what do you call it?
I call them dreamscapes.
Dreamscapes,
Because
that's a good word, yeah.
I pretty much dream them up.
And they're
They're from
fantastic.
imagination and.
Wonderful.
I
And you
really
do a lot
I love
of the clouds
horizon
and the
clouds
horizons.
and I think everybody loves a nice horizon or sunset
Yeah.
or.
And you do a fair amount of selling of these, right?
Yeah,
so
I've been
I
a
think
little
they're quite
lucky.
popular, yeah. And when you added orange recently,
Mm-hmm.
the last month or two, I mean, it's really, everybody loves those, it seems,
Yeah.
including myself. In fact, I have it as the masthead piece for the Chelmsford Arts group on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have one of your paintings, which is one of these, similar to this.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful. And what did you paint this with, and what is it on?
Well, I paint primarily in oils.
In oils,
And
yeah.
I like to put a high gloss finish on it.
High gloss,
and
with
I'm-
brush? You
With
use a
brush,
brush,
I use
right?
brush. Sometimes I use a little palette knife.
Yeah?
And I love to work on the ampersand panels, so I use the cradled ampersand on clay board.
On clay board. And do you prime it at all with gesso or anything?
And when I work on birch panels, I prime. This is pre-primed, so.
Pre-primed. And you order them and they come pre-primed? and-
Yep, I can
But they're
order.
fairly expensive, right? The big ones anyway. I remember you
Yeah,
told
yeah,
$75 for
Yeah,
one, which
they're
is
a little
it's-
pricey, but
but
for what I
for you-
do, I
oh,
think
it's
they're
well worth it,
definitely
yeah.
worth it. I love working with good quality materials.
Yeah. Do you want me to help you hold that up at all, or no, are you? 'Cause-
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, that's a good idea. 'cause-
That's good.
So, could you tell us more about this? What colors did you use here, Bethany?
I use some ultramarine blue, Prussian blue. Indigo is my go-to color. I use a lot of indigo.
Which is the darker blue, right?
Yep. I love-
Prussian blue?
Yep, a little bit of
And
Prussian.
what-
Naples yellow.
Naples yellow. What
And,
is this orange? Or color?
Cadmium orange.
Cadmium. Oh, those are expensive, aren't they?
A little bit.
A little
And
bit,
and
but
some
doesn't-
and there's some cerulean
But the way
in
you
there.
sell though, and cerulean, yeah, nice. So does it have any meaning to you, or is it supposed to symbolize anything other than maybe relaxation or meditation,
I'm
or?
an emotional painter, so
Emotion,
basically when I go into the studio, I don't always have an idea of what I'm going to paint. I know it's going to have a sky or horizon, and I just go to colors that just naturally come to me during the day. So if I'm feeling really happy, you might see some bright colors, and if I'm in a dark place, you might see some darker colors.
Wonderful.
It was a long winter, so I did a lot of indigo night paintings.
Yeah. Oh, and you had a beautiful one at the library recently, the Boston skyline.
yes,
that I love that piece.
Thank you.
It's like indigo, dark blue, and a little impressionistic type skyline. Here, beautiful. Everybody should see that. It's not at the library at the moment, right?
It's
but,
at my
it's
studio now.
outside.
Yeah.
In fact, it was out the door.
Yeah, it's
outside your
my
studio.
Yeah, it's outside my studio, 8417 on the 4th floor
8417.
at Western Avenue.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And where else are you exhibiting now, Bethany?
I've been all around Lowell. I'm at the Loading Dock Gallery with Denise, and I've been at Zeitgeist and the All Gallery, and I've been at the Whistler House, and just mostly in the local area. And one of my goals is to expand my my little circle and just and show and submit to more.
I think it's a great idea. And as we said earlier, you've been selling your work quite consistently a lot lately, right?
A little bit lucky
Which is
lately.
nice. So things are going well at Western Avenue, and
yes.
you're glad you went there. Right?
I'm so excited. I can't say enough about this building. If you haven't been to Western Avenue Studios, you are missing like the most amazing place. I mean, I tell my kids it's like Disney World for me, because everywhere you go, there's something new to see. There's glass blowing, textiles, any ceramics, sculptures, installations, anything you can imagine for art is there. It's just amazing.
I highly recommend it as well. You could go and spend like at least maybe a couple of hours or 4 or 5 hours if you want. And you could see so many beautiful pieces of art and also wonderful artists. They're all so friendly, I think, and welcoming and
the artists
so
love
nice.
to talk.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we love to talk about our art.
Oh, it's fantastic. And I love, every time I go in, I visit you, Bethany, and I think you're always so friendly. And
Thank you.
I just love seeing all your work there, too. If you go to Bethany's and everybody's studios, you can see tons of their art all over the walls, which is fantastic.
It's really exciting.
And I think your prices are still reasonable, right, Bethany? So people should check before you become hugely famous.
I don't want art to be just for the elite. I want everyday people to be able to walk away with a painting, not a cliche or a print. I want them to walk away with a piece of art in their hands.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really important to me.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Bethany.
you.
It's a beautiful, they're all so beautiful, these pieces. Donna, maybe I could help you hold up your piece and we could talk a little about it. So this is Donna Berger's piece, and Donna, it's a hummingbird, right?
Yes, this was from a series of paintings I did that tell the story of Bluebill, the hummingbird, who was at the Franklin Park Zoo. And this series of paintings I did for the Paris Center for the Arts, but I decided at this point to bridge my children's book illustration and bring it to my painting, because I've been doing painting for quite a while. And so I decided to do a series of paintings, and I've written the story, and when I get caught up, I'm planning to submit it to some publishers to try and publish my book.
Oh, it hasn't been published yet? Not that.
No.
Because I knew you were working, it was working on it as a book, right?
Yes, I have the story
Hummingbird
done.
book?
And
Yeah, it's what, how many paintings? Diane?
I have about 16 paintings
16,
done.
that's
Yes.
right,
And there's a couple that I haven't finished. So
Nice.
because I've been getting commissions, my own paintings have kind of dropped down to a lower level.
And
So
you're working full-time, too?
I'm working
in
full-time.
design, though, graphic design,
right,
kind of?
yes, and I'm
Nice.
also doing freelance graphic design.
Oh, my God, I don't know how you have time to
So
do all
until-
this. It's
yeah,
amazing.
so I've been
Yeah.
very, very busy, and one of the things I've been thrilled about is I've been one of the local Chelmsford residents had me do a commission of his wife's grandparents at Christmas
saw that.
time, and that came out really, and he was so thrilled with it that
That's
he
fantastic.
now is having me, and I can't say his name because it's a surprise,
Okay.
but he's having me do a portrait of his family, 7 people and his dog.
Wow.
And
Oh,
that
that's
piece is
wonderful.
36 by 36 inches.
Wow, nice. And acrylic you paint with?
Yeah, it's
Diane?
in
Nice,
acrylic.
and that's what this is, right, acrylics?
Yes, it
Do you
is
use a
acrylic.
brush? Primary?
Yes, but sometimes I get my hands in it and
Hands and
you know,
everything.
you
And, look
know.
at, and you have a great control of the colors, right? I could see this, all this greenish, yellowish tones throughout to unite it with a little bit of the warmth here and the next warmer colors. And here's the little
That's the baby hummingbird.
Baby hummingbird here.
And for me,
Oh,
when
yeah,
I
you can
was
see it on the screen, which
when I
is
was
nice.
working on this, initially my daughter was pregnant and going to have a baby, and
Oh.
so I think the whole story of having the baby hummingbird kind of set a personal note on me, and it influenced, me doing well on the subject matter.
Yes, nice. And as I mentioned earlier, you have a studio at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, right in Chelmsford
Yep.
Center.
I do.
And there's 3 of you, right, with studios there?
Yes, there
You
are.
And Trina Teal and Rita Thompson.
Yes, and
And
the Chelmsford Telemedia also has a studio right next to mine.
Oh, yeah, Chelmsford Telemedia's there.
Yes.
And do you have a website, Donna?
Yes, it's donnaberger.com.
Oh, donnaberger.com.
Yep.
And are you exhibiting in any galleries at the
Well,
moment?
at the moment, I just took one picture out of the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, but I regularly have been showing my images in the same areas that these people have, the Brush Gallery, Whistler House, and
Yeah,
all
Arts League
in-
of Lowell
yes,
and everything?
yes.
Wonderful.
so
Well,
I'm
you're doing
regular-
fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
have a number of books, as I mentioned earlier. Did you
Oh,
bring in
yes.
another piece, too?
I
Let me see.
did.
Sorry.
Besides all the other stuff I'm
Oh, sorry.
doing, I just worked on 2 children book covers, and with this particular thing, I am working on the computer. These are mini versions of the covers, but
And look
these-
at, so you painted these?
these are
These are
done.
amazing.
These are done on the computer. I'm sorry, it's a little bit shiny.
But
And so I use
fantastic.
Photoshop and Wacom digitizing tablet to draw with. And
It's amazing, the detail on these figures is wonderful.
And typically, I am known for doing ethnic diversity. I do very well with that.
Good,
I
good,
draw
yeah, which-
people really well.
It's fantastic.
So
Summer Camp by Joy Dole.
Dale.
Dale.
Yep. And these 2 covers are done for a publishing company in Australia, and I've done a few other books for them as well. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Donna. Thank you.
you.
Maybe with the time we have left, maybe if I could ask each of you, starting with Janis, what your goals are, like what you eventually plan to do, and maybe if you could talk about some of the artists who most influence you, some of you might say favorite artists or ones that you study the most,
Sure.
that kind of thing.
Of course.
Hey.
Well, you referred to Edward Hopper, and I'd say 2 of my favorite artists. One is Edward Hopper for sure, and the other is Monet.
Yeah, mine
and
too. Yeah.
for similar reasons, even though their result is significantly different. For Monet, he just compels me to look more and more and more, and every time I look, there's more to see.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
to me is just one of the really important criterion that keeps my interest.
Yes.
Is just to keep looking and finding and exploring new things, which is actually kind of a symbol and a parable actually for the way that I look at life.
Yes.
To me, and then paint is just a part of it, an extension of it, and so forth. So in terms of goal, it's one of the interesting, it came up somewhere in some regard here in the previous conversation that one of the impressionists actually said the way to paint well is to paint miles and miles of canvas.
Yes,
So in terms of goals, that really is my goal.
Yes.
Because the rest of it just happens, and things shift and they change and they migrate, and things that you think were stable aren't in terms of the business aspect of it.
Yes.
And so all you can do is paint. And
Fantastic.
put it out there and paint as well as you can.
And you're getting it out there to a
And-
bunch
and-
of galleries, and you've been
yeah.
in some magazines recently or
That
something?
too, yeah. Fortunately, I don't know where this came from.
Yeah.
Actually, they didn't ask me, but Art Maine or Maine Art or something. Actually, it's their summer guides to art
Yeah.
in Maine. Used one of my paintings, a similar version of this painting. Actually, is the front cover. And one of my galleries called me and congratulated me, and I said, for what? I'm just painting today.
That's the front cover. Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Janis.
Yeah,
Thank
of course.
you.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom, how about you? Your artists who most influence you, and what are
Well,
your goals?
There was always, well, when I went to the Art Institute of Boston, I had a teacher, art illustrating teacher, and he inspired me most, Norman Bayer. And
Norman Bayer.
yeah, and so he inspired me, but so I didn't have his work to look at or study after I got out of school. I kind of latched on to Norman Rockwell.
I
whose
remember you
work,
like Norman
yeah, I love his
Rockwell,
work so
yeah.
much. It's so good, and I paint a little like him, but not really. I have my own style.
Yours is a little bit looser than
Yeah,
I'd say Norman.
I'm more
Rockwell.
expressionistic. And
Yes,
there's artists like J.C. Leyendecker. He's an illustrator. Who
Yes, I'm familiar with
he
him,
inspired
yeah.
me a lot. I've been looking at him and Andrew Zorn And also, I started looking at the cartoonist artist. There's an artist named Jack Davis, and he did a lot of illustrations for Mad Magazine. He was the cartoonist. I love the way he draws people, expressions, and so I've been looking at a lot of these cartoonists because I want to get more inventive with my drawings.
So what are your ultimate goals, Tom? To become
Well, just
more and more famous and
Well, just to be the
successful?
best painter I can be. I just keep trying to get better and better. I don't really know of a goal except that I just want to do the best paintings I can in the time that I have left on the earth. And so I just continually strive to reinvent myself and try to do better, you know.
Wonderful. And you
Get
paint
my
every
work
day,
out.
Tom?
I paint every day. I love it. I just love painting,
fantastic,
and I don't really do much else. I just say, well, I got to clean this apartment, and then I say, how the hell with it? Just paint. Just paint. So I'm always painting because if I have something good on the easel, it makes me feel good. So I'm
Yes.
constantly getting good feelings out of painting. That's why I love it so much because
That's
it
fantastic.
really. And I always have ideas in my head that make me feel good. My painting ideas, I say, oh, I can't wait. This is going to be a great painting. So I'm always like that.
Well, I'm so glad you and all of you are pursuing your artistic goals because you're so fantastic. So
Yeah.
you're contributing so much to the world via your art.
Thanks.
If
And-
you did not exist, if you weren't there, that art wouldn't exist.
I
And
also,
it's a big contribution to our world.
Thanks. I also wanted to say that I'm having a show at the Whistler House in October.
You are.
Yeah, one-man show. I forgot to mention that. And
In October, so
the
let us know. You don't have a date at the moment.
What did I say? The Brush Gallery. Did I say the
No,
Brush
you
Gallery?
said the Whistler.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to mention the Whistler House. I'm sorry. I'm having a show at the Brush House.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Cover all the bases.
Delete that.
Yeah.
Edit that
So at
out.
the Brush,
I'm
you're gonna
having a
have-
one-person
let us
show
all
at the
know.
Brush Art Gallery.
I'll definitely be
It's
there
going to
if
be
I
all
can.
marker paintings. It's going to be great.
Wonderful.
And so I said the Whistler House because I forgot to mention them because they've been so good to me and I love the people there and I love the place. So I wanted to mention the Whistler
Well,
House.
thank you so much. I'm
Okay,
sure
thank you,
they'll
Tom.
appreciate it. James McNeil Whistler will as well.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Denise, how about yourself?
Ditto,
Denise?
ditto, and the whole piece about trying to just get miles and miles more on the canvas, and I'm really trying to push myself to learn to do better with light. But when I was a sophomore in high school, in my French class, I saw a slideshow of the Chateau of the Loire Valley, and then all kinds of impressionist paintings, and it's like, that's what I want to do. So I ended up being a French teacher for years, but of course, a lot of what you'd get, a lot of the culture part that I was able to expose students to, it's still what follows me, and I'm ceaselessly Monet and his work, and so many of the impressionists of what they can do, and they're very that very expressionistic, impressionistic fashion.
Monet is one of the ones. In fact, if you look at a lot of his water lily paintings later on in his career, they were almost the beginning of modern art, contemporary art. They're so loose and almost abstract, really,
Right,
if you
right.
look at them.
So much.
So
you
it's
look
amazing.
closely at any of his paintings, and what's that?
But I also think he was a master of color, beautiful colors.
And
If you look
light.
at Monet's,
Color
those
and light.
blues and all the colors he was able to use, I think were fantastic.
Yeah.
Any other impressionists that you especially like?
Well, I love
Or
Van Gogh.
post-impressionists?
Van
Gogh
I
post,
still
yeah.
love Van Gogh, and and Cézanne. I mean, they're just all pretty fun. Degas not bad either.
Yeah.
And you would have said, but anyway.
Yeah, wonderful.
No, seriously, obviously, fabulous, beautiful work.
Yes, thank you.
And I will do my plug for Paula Mingalelli, and I have a 2-woman show in November at the Loading Dock Gallery called Dual Perspectives, and we paint
wonderful.
very differently, so we're taking the same images and interpreting them in our own way.
Oh,
So
that's
we're having
fantastic.
a lot of fun doing that.
You'll let us all know, right, everybody? And you also have the group Chumps at Art Society on Facebook.
Right.
Oh, I gotta rush to make sure we get everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Priti. So how about you?
So inspired by any artist who paints with light and color and passion, and so that's, I think, covers all the artists from Rembrandt to Caravaggio to Monet, Sargent, Sorolla. I think every artist has painted and looked for light and the way light affects values and shadow, and that's been my fascination too. The new thing that I'm trying to explore is to look at everything from a new point of view. With the invention of the camera and photography, we can look at things from different angles because we can take a photograph and paint it. And so that's my new thing that I'm going to try to look at everything from a different point of view and a different angle.
Great
And
idea.
so
Yes.
I just want to plug in my paint-alongs that I'm working on this summer.
Yeah.
So the next one is June 2nd, and it's on Facebook and it's on my blog. So if anybody wants information, they can
And Facebook, you're under your name, Prettyafia, right? If we could
Fine
find
art.
there. And fine art, yeah.
Fine art.
Wonderful. Thank you, Priti.
Thank you.
And how about yourself, Bethany?
Well, I think what inspires me is like artists like Turner or Constable,
Turner, yeah, you're very
Yeah.
similar to Turner in a way.
Whistler,
Constable, yeah.
N.C. Wyeth. I love expressive atmosphere and light too, and like even Goya. I think the expressionists and impressionists.
Yes, yeah.
My artistic goals this year is to paint outside a lot more. I want to do a lot more plein air painting. Just get out and get just see the world. Just get out there and experience nature, and see how that affects my paintings more.
Yes, yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Bethany. Donna?
Okay, I'm very influenced by Sargent. I love his work. And Rockwell because of the narrative, especially with the children's books. I'm very
Yes,
influenced by the images to tell a story.
Yes.
And as far as personal goals, all the three artists at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts are going to have a show in the fall with very large paintings. And so once I finish my commission, I'm going to do a series of very large paintings. And I have a couple children's books that I've written, and I'd like to, besides this one, I have a couple more that I'd like to focus and putting time to those.
How do you get time to do all this? Because you are working full-time too for a company, and you have your studio at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, and it's, I don't know
I'm
how
always
you do
busy. I think I do a lot. When I'm busy, I actually get a lot more done, and when I'm not busy, it seems like I just not as productive. I just kind of like rework things. And being busy, it's like I have a deadline, got to get it done, and it makes you do more.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I want to maybe mention a few things since this is our last show before the summer break. This year, hopefully on the 3rd of July at our fair in the center of town, I'm going to do a special 1-hour show interviewing people like I've done many years ago, and we re-show them every June. So in June on Chelmsford Telemedia, you can see a lot of our 4th of July shows from the late 90s and early 2000s. So we're going to start that up again, so we'll add more to the inventory. Also, if you love art, I'd like to invite you to the Chelmsford Arts Group on Facebook. There's about 350 members on it, and we post a lot of beautiful art. Every month we have a new Artist of the Month, and whenever there's an exhibit, people could post where it's going to be, an art opening, that kind of thing. And if also you're interested in other things about Chelmsford, please join the group Chelmsford Reps and Residents, which has almost 1,000 members now. So this is a wonderful panel. Thank you so much, Janis Saunders, for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Denise Rain.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, Bethany Petras.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Tom Gill.
Thank you, Tom.
And thank you very much, Priti Lathia. Thank you very much, Donna Berger. It was a fantastic group, and thanks our wonderful crew, George and Azora and Larry and our director, Pete Padula. And we'll have this show on YouTube as well. So if you have any comments, please send me an email at tcristiano@comcast.net. I hope to see you throughout the summer, but if not, we'll start airing the studio shows the day after Labor Day. I'm Tom Christiano. Ciao.